a sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits roll. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. Enthralling field, real die band.
Alrighty, it is time for the Tampa Bay edition of the Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com and the FloridaHSFootball.com social media handle. But I see Emery is already in the chat. He's enjoyed the past 4 shows. Let's see what's in store for this edition of the Tampa Bay Blitz here. And I'm not sure why it's not popping up in the live chat here, but there we go. Noli is in the house. He says it's fourth quarter. Yes, indeed, it is fourth quarter here as we welcome everybody here to the final show of the evening here on this Tuesday, the last Tuesday of October 2025. It's hard to believe Halloween is Friday night. Time changes this weekend. Thank goodness for that. I'll take my extra hour of sleep. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And Coach Robert Run joining us here. Appreciate that. As Chris, on the scheduling conflict, he'll be back tomorrow night with us as well here. And boy, Coach, there's a lot to get to here with Tampa Bay because big white region, boy. And you know what? I'll tell you what. Lakeland's looking pretty good to make another run back to the state title game, and we'll talk about that here on the Blitz lines here as we roll into it here. And yes, indeed. And looking back last week, how about this? St. Petersburg Catholic, we talked about it on the last show. They just rolled all over Sefton Christian. And again, another running clock game for St. Pete Catholic, who we haven't even really heard of St. Pete Catholic really being much of the mix until now. And here they are, and they beat Sefton Christian pretty single-handedly. I don't even need to look up the score to tell you that they put a running clock on them. And St. Pete Catholic is 9-0. I cannot even recall the last time St. Pete Catholic had 9 wins in a season because I've been doing this for 16 years. I haven't seen them have a 9-win season until now. So that tells you where things are at. The more things change, sometimes the more things stay the same or do the opposite.
Definitely was not on my bingo card this year to see them sitting here. But hey, we're 1 week away getting an undefeated season out of it.
Absolutely, of course. And then here's Eastlake. Eastlake takes down Largo, and they become district champs. So good. Congratulations to Eastlake on that. Eastlake 6-2 on the season, and gotta give it to Eastlake because last year they were not even close to being in the playoffs, and this year they did it good. And Alonzo and Sumner, that's another game that we kind of keep an eye on there. And Sumner just took care of business, finished the season at 8-2. So they'll be playoff bound district champs as well in their district. Frostproof and Fort Meade. Emory, I know Emory has been waiting to talk about this one because they he kept an eye on that one because his Hardy Wildcats there are going to be taking on Frostproof in the first round of the SSA Atlantic State Championship bracket. And Frostproof, Fort Meade handled Frostproof, and Fort Meade. I believe that was that. Am I getting that correct, Emory? Fort Meade did win that game. I'm sorry, guys. I can tell you this is one of those. It's been. If I'm recalling correctly, Fort Meade, I believe, beat Frostproof. I'm going to pull it up here in just a. Well, I don't want Fort Meade Florida. I want Fort Meade to schedule. That's what I want. Yes, Fort Meade did win that game against Frostproof 42-20, and definitely, Emory was right. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, I was right about that. Is that he was keeping an eye on that game, and of course. That one for all of us. And another game that I thought, well, yeah. That that we were all Palmetto and Leonard. Well, yeah. And then we were definitely Reno was right on this one. Hernando beating Wiki Wachi. Me and Chris were. But Hernando district champs, and they are in the playoffs at 7-2. Wiki Wachi falls to 7-2, but will probably miss the playoffs. Probably be an 8-2 team, miss the playoffs. But I say, BUT on that one, that they could probably most likely be one of those teams that is going to make the FIT bracket in that 1A to 3A bracket because again, it's they're probably going to be eligible for that. But I feel like teams like Wiki Wachi that, they've struggled for years, but now they're all of a sudden they're having that. This may be where the FIT bracket, my problem, coach, with the FIT bracket is this: fix the classification issue first. Then we can talk about maybe giving an FIT bracket to these teams that, like instead of having bowl games, here's an invitational tournament. We'll have this for y'all who missed the playoffs, who we don't, instead of you trying to scrounge to find a bowl game, we're going to pair you up here if you want to play in this.
It's a joke. I mean, if you're a team that's even remotely close to looking at that being a possibility for your program, it's a subjective thing. I get it. Everybody's got their own opinions, but it does no good for your program to the success and the future success of your program. To accept an invitation into an FIT bracket. It's a consolation prize. For as much as we talk about kids needing to know what it's like to win, well, the kids need to know what it's like to lose as well. And if you don't make the playoffs, you need to accept that, get back into the office, get back into the weight room, and draw it back up again and try again next year.
My other opinion, hey, look at your schedule. Look at who you got on the schedule. Maybe change up a couple things on your schedule.
Yeah. Maybe all your non-district games shouldn't be against St. Thomas and Rains and Columbia and maybe get yourself a gimme game. I get the way the algorithm makes it shake out that like good losses apparently mean something, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This isn't college.
What's a good loss? What's the definition?
3 versus 6 doesn't mean a damn. It shouldn't mean a damn thing in high school football.
No,
we need to get back to the wins and the losses mean more than how good a team is. And
I agree, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen here with the classifications, because if you want to do something like this, you could sell me. You could potentially sell me if the classification issue was fixed. You could sell me. You could potentially put a sell to it. But right now, we've got 8 classifications. We got a 1A bracket we have a 1A classification that has 41, 42 teams. 32 of them are making the playoffs. Half of those teams that are making the 1A playoffs don't even deserve to be there, in my opinion.
Right.
All right. And then 2A is kind of the same. So there's a couple teams there that maybe shouldn't be making it. 3A, Wiki Wachi, the situation for Wiki Wachi or Hernando, both of them actually, it's okay. Yeah, I get it. Your district's weak. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. But okay. All right. So you have 5 teams in your district. You have 4 district games. What did you do for the other 6?
Yeah.
What did you do for the other 6?
We talked about it last week briefly on the phone. I mean, it was my biggest resolution is to come up with something that is closely similar. I understand because of,
shrink them.
yeah. Well, shrinking them, but also getting rid of the district sizes and going with regions, and then going private public. Those are the three biggest resolutions I said a couple of years ago made the most sense. I get geographically we're different than Georgia, and maybe the playoff layout how Georgia does might not work. Having like a team from Atlanta traveling to Camden County is ridiculous. I don't need a team from Miami traveling to Pensacola. That's stupid. But there's ways that you can still do what they do and not use the same playoff format in that sense. But going regions, and then also, listen, private public fixes everything. It is what it is. I see one of those two being probably what ends up happening. Private public, just for whatever reason, I just don't see that happening. If it was going to happen, they'd have done it already because it's been something that has been asked for numerous times and they don't do it, which is fine. Stick to that. If you're going to keep saying no to it, then we need to stop asking for it. But private public would fix a lot of the issues in this state. It would solve scheduling because if I don't need to schedule a private team, but just because they're good, then I'm not going to schedule a private team. That's fine. If all the teams in Jacksonville didn't have to play bowls anymore, I promise there's going to be a parade on Bay Street. We're okay with it.
Yeah. And by the way, no, I'll address Noli's comment here in the show here. Noli says I see more classes there. Wait, well, I can tell you this. I do have to give some props to the FSA executive director, Craig Damon. He is on record. He did express it just before the start of the season. It was on what do they call it? It's on a live stream on X. It's on the chat there. Well, when we were talking in that chat, Craig Damon expressed, "Hey, we want to reduce the number of classifications." That he said that the number of classifications need to shrink, and I think he was not just expressing that for football. He was expressing that for a lot of team sports. Yeah. Okay, it's not just football that has a lot of classification. It's volleyball, it's baseball, it's basketball, it's softball, it's also baseball. There's a lot of sports that have at least 8 classifications, 7 to 8 classifications. All right. Understand. I'm in agreement with it. We need to shrink the number of classifications. Okay. Because let's go back, let's go back to the days of, hey, you know what, think about this. Hey, state championships being at a home site. I'd be talking about this. And I was going to bring this up here. You don't want a team traveling from Miami to Pensacola. Well, that did happen. 1982. What did Columbus do? They got a chartered airplane. They chartered the airplane for the team in 1982 to go all the way to play Woodham in Pensacola in the 4A state championship. They got on a flight from Miami to Pensacola because it was apparently cheaper to do it that way and just send the boys back that way. But anyways, it's one of those things where it's, and that, by the way, that story came from Larry Bluestein. He told me about that story years ago. You know what, Larry? Speaking of Blue is a living legend. So we'll have to. There's going to be a lot. Yeah, it is a long trip, but again, the whole thing about everything that we've got going on here, what we're seeing here, and what we're talking about. This is why some of the stuff that's happening. Okay, I can understand the need for 8 classifications if the number of schools in that are FHA member programs was like 550, 600. It's not that. It's not that. All right. The number of teams that are committing to the state series right now, it's sitting under 500. You got quite a few programs that obviously they declare independent because they don't want to deal with the stuff that's in that the state series has anymore because of the competitive imbalance. And then the other teams that would be there, well, guess what? Where are they at? They're in the Sunshine State Athletic Association now. So I can tell you this right now. There's only a couple teams right this second that I feel like would move back from the SSA to FHA, depending on what happens. But a lot of the teams that I understand in the SSA have no interest coming back to the FHA, especially because they don't know what to expect right this second. Maybe we get an idea tomorrow. We know what we're going to see. We'll find out. Again, 2:00. They're going to have that virtual workshop. We'll listen in. We'll talk about it. We'll probably just do a live stream, talk about it as they're going through it, talk about some of the stuff and see what, hey, do we agree, disagree, kind of go through that. But looking at some of the other stuff here with the games from this past week, obviously, Palmetto Leonard, Wiki Wachi Hernando. Yeah, I mean, half the picks there. I could just throw it away and be like this. See you later. Oh, wait a second. Mark, are you giving your age away, Mark? Because that was before I-75. There was I-75. Well, that's when I-75 ended in Tampa, when you had to slam your brakes on it at Malfunction Junction at I-75 and I-4. Emory, let's see how many more teams request SSA membership applications after the FSA meeting. Actually, let's see tomorrow. Mark Cannon says I'm old. Anyway, Emory, to address about tomorrow, it's a workshop about what's for the board meeting that's coming up on Monday. Okay, so they're going to be discussing the topics. The thing is that what I'm seeing here is they haven't put out the agenda for Monday yet for this weekend. Usually that agenda is out 1 week beforehand. For some reason, this is not the case. There's no set agenda for tomorrow. There's no idea of what to expect. I know in terms of what should we really expect. I know what to expect in my mind is that the big topic is classifications. What does Craig Damon present to the board? I don't know. Is it one plan? Is it three plans? That's what I'm wondering. What is going to be on the docket, and I hope that every plan involves a shrinkage of classifications. I really, really hope that it involves a shrinkage of classifications. If all plans involve that, I can support any of those plans in that case. But I would really like to see how do you deal with the address of the competitive imbalance that is going on right now. All right, we know that the open enrollment's not going away. But I do know that maybe that may be something that's addressed in the Senate bill that's going to Senate hearing that's going to be coming up the following day in Tallahassee with the Florida Coaches Coalition. That's going to be a big day as well to kind of watch that Senate hearing. That'll be on the Florida channel. So keep an eye out on that because it's not going to address about coaches pay in that bill, but there's going to be maybe some other things that may address transfers, but we'll see. But for right now, I feel like you've got to plan with this is that you really need to do something like Indiana. Do Indiana go? Now, I'm not saying let everybody team in the playoffs like Indiana does. What I'm saying is do a tournament success factor. All right, you win, you win. All right, you're up to the next classification until you start. Hey, you're not winning anymore. You're not winning those tournaments anymore. And then you come back down to where your level is. I feel like that's where it should be. That and see Coach Roberts, my alma mater, Hardy played Bradford. Oh, wait a second, Coach Roberts. Wait a second, am I missing something in the chat, Emory? I'm trying to see here in the chat here real quick here. Who else is in the chat here? Coach Roberts. Emory, you're going to have to help me out here because I see that, Bradford, talking about 1965. And Noli said, I smell a double cross metro suburban population versus population density. Oh, boy. You know what's funny? You know what? I got to say this, Coach, is that I don't see much suburban being as part of a plan for what they're going to present because, I mean, the fact that they went ahead and killed it off, I mean, now to say, hey, we're going to bring it back. Well, why did you remove it in the first place? That's going to drive people nuts.
And here's it. Will it shock you? Will it shock you? It's a repetitive thing with the previous regime on that committee. I'm more of a. I'm not
sure what to expect anymore because again, we feel like
there's no transparency. They don't tell you what's happening beforehand. They keep it so close to the chest, and then on top of that, when they do make a decision on things, there's still no transparency because there's no real explanation as to what the decision is. So, for instance, we decided on this point system, the ranking system years ago. And still, to this day, there's been no real laid out. And I don't want to hear it in my ear, Craig Damon explain it on a live stream. I want a written out, PowerPoint that sent out to coaches across the state from all the different sports, where it breaks down step by step the exact way the algorithm works. Because if you want coaches to have successful football teams in this state, we need to know how to produce that based on how we schedule the games.
And I agree with that. I agree 1,000% on that, because if we don't, because the thing is that when we first brought up the idea of using point system to seed, all right, well, it was based upon, a model that Nebraska had. At least we knew it was transparent. We could replicate it. I could replicate it very easily, figure out, okay, well, this is what, based upon, hey, this is how it goes. Okay, easily replicated. RPI, you could replicate mostly RPI. You could figure it out. At least you knew what the formula was. Okay, well, it's 35, 50, 35, whatever the percentages is for each of the three components of RPI. The thing that turned coaches off is that, people were gaming RPI. Well, the problem is that I tried to suggest this, and I suggested this way back when, is that you need to look at what Colorado does. All right, how does Colorado handle RPI? Well, okay, Colorado understands. All right, 10 games is a short season, whereas other sports have 20, 25 games. You have more data to work with. You've got to put some weights in. Nobody wanted to hear that from me. Well, now here we are dealing with this FHA Max Preps ranking that we don't know what's. I've been told, the margin of victory could be between 18 or 19 points. That's what we hear. Or, at first, when they first started doing that, they didn't want margin of victory. They didn't even want margin of victory in there. Now margin of victory somewhere in there. But what does that entail? What does SLS really entail? There's proprietary information, which I understand. I get that. Like my own power ranking, it's proprietary information, but at the same time, I can tell you what components go into it.
Yeah, no,
the components go into the Max Preps necessarily. If they say, it's strength of schedule, but how far does that strength of schedule go? Is it really infinity, or is there a hard line stop somewhere?
Well, it doesn't have to be. But this whole proprietary information thing, it doesn't have to be something that's a public piece of information. If we're worried about other people outside of the state getting the model, which what are we doing? What does that matter? If you're that hung up on it as the committee, then just privately send it to the coaches.
I mean, but the committee doesn't even know what it is. The FHA doesn't even know what it is, because Max Preps won't turn it over.
How did we vote on something that nobody on both sides knows how it works?
I see a lot of people fight, and this is, and I after talking to some coaches thought when they went to say, hey, we're going to use Max Preps rankings, that we're going to use what's on maxpreps.com, which a lot of people say what's on maxpreps.com is much more accurate versus what the FHA has, which after watching this for several years, I agree with them.
Yeah,
it's much more accurate. Even what I've got in my own ranking, I would say it's much more accurate than what I mean. I can tell you, once I hit the run on the rankings, I guarantee you, I will tell you this: I bet St. Augustine will still be ahead of Choctaw in my ranking,
because they should be.
Because they should be. And I'm sorry, I don't want to keep coming after the FHA, but I mean, this is not a personal attack on anybody at the FHA. This is not what that is. My issue with this is that the transparency problem. There's been a transparency problem for years. This goes back for many years. It's many decades. It just is not something that's new overnight. The transparency. We complain about this every year after year after year, but if we could get to one system and stick with it, we would be much better off. But we got rural teams saying, hey, ditch the rural class. We got some teams saying, hey, we need to we need to have districts back. And then, we got other teams saying, hey, we won't come back unless you don't have districts. So it's like, all right, which group are you going to appease? We can't make everybody happy. Not everybody's ice cream. Let's just go with that. Okay. But if you can make the majority feel like they're being heard, yes, that's a win. But right this second, can we even get a win? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I'm curious to see what this informational workshop brings tomorrow. I want to see what comes out on the table. I would love to see a documentation of what is this going to look like, because I guarantee you this weekend is going to be this meeting on Monday. There's going to be a lot of people tuning in trying to figure out what the heck's going on.
Just because we just happened to briefly mention St. Augustine.
Yeah.
The last last 4 weeks, 41-21 over Columbia, 56-7 over Clay, 34-20 over Bartram, 66-6 over Ridgeview last week.
Yeah.
66-6 spot pushed you from the one spot where you've been ever since they beat Nice.
And all of a
5
sudden,
weeks ago.
now you go put 66, 67 points up, and all of a sudden now you're knocked down.
I'm gonna get Ridgeview is absolute garbage, but so, still, I know. But hey, you know what? You got a home game against Mandarin to end the season this Thursday.
You have and you know what will be interesting to see, because Enterprise who's Choctaw's playing 5-4. By the way, I know this is the Tampa Bay show, but again, this all applies together with everything that's going on. We're just using a good example of what's happening here, because it could happen to anybody at any given point with this ranking. The thing is, explain to me what you're getting, because if I go look at the wins and losses of Choctaw's opponents versus the wins and losses of St. Augustine opponents, I guarantee you St. Augustine's opponents are going to have a better win percentage than what Choctaw has right now.
Look at their wins. I mean, like, yeah, they're playing like, yeah, you've got playoff teams. You got the Fort Waltons, South Waltons, you got the Nicevilles. I get that, but Pine Forest. I mean, like, they have good wins, obviously. But strength of schedule, I get strength of schedule when we talk about SOS. Apparently, head to head and SOS for whatever reason doesn't carry the weight they claim it does. There's no way you put those two schedules up side by side and you can have an honest conversation and say that Choctaw deserves to be the 1 seed. That doesn't make any sense. And then you look at other regions. I mean, we said it in this Tampa area. There was multiple teams that we're just scratching our heads at. Why are they where they're at when you look at the wins and the losses versus also the strength of the schedule? I mean, yeah, I get they're both coming in 9-0, but you know, they're going to play an Enterprise team. Mind you, I'm looking at it right now.
Before coming into this, I mean, that's just it. This is what's I just don't understand. At the end of the day, how does this thing? I mean, even on MaxPreps.com, I'm looking at it. St. Augustine dropped 4 spots despite the fact that they won, and somehow Choctaw went up 5 spots. Again, there's some things that I ask. Okay, you look at it. Okay, do you also, okay, Bowles is, you look at these teams and you're like, okay, why is Armwood ranked so high? Who is Armwood? I mean, let me look at Armwood's schedule, because this will give a good Tampa focus for everybody to understand what's going on here. I appreciate y'all, everybody that's watching, listening here, because again, it's get the popcorn out, because literally, let's look at it. Okay. The only teams I can really pick out, outside of the rest of the schedule, Gaither, Sumner, Tampa Bay Tech. Okay, winning records. Durant, I think they're about 500. Hillsborough losing record. Plant, I think, is losing record. Sickles losing record. Steinbrenner losing record. Wharton losing record. And then they got Riverview coming up, which Riverview is about middle of the road. Okay, but when I go stack the schedule, I mean, this is where I struggle a little bit with this. This is where I'm just like, okay, this is where we're at, but I'm still trying to understand why what's all of a sudden made Choctaw's record so much, what made the 9-0 Choctaw versus the St. Augustine 9-0 better, when St. Augustine has played a really good Bulls team. And what's even more interesting, again, head to head, St. Augustine beat Bulls, but yet St. Augustine somehow below Bulls.
Maybe we're just regionally biased because we're both North Florida guys, but I mean,
we're regionally biased because I mean, give me my years.
I know, but we also just said that we like Max Prep's way that they do their rankings. Well, according to Max Preps, St. Augustine is ranked 229th in the nation, and Choctaw is about 100 spots higher than that, in the hundreds. So, according to Max Preps, Choctaw is night and day better than St. Augustine. So, I don't know. Like I said, and then we'll get right back on this Tampa. Stop getting off track with all these Jackson teams nobody wants to hear about. Listen, them boys down in St. Augustine, they don't give a damn whether the game is in St. Augustine or they got to go all the way out to the nasty confines of Choctaw High School. They don't care. That when they go play Choctaw in the regional final, you can go ahead and mark it down for me. I'll see you in a couple of weeks when we pick that week's games. I'm gonna let you know right now. Give me St. Augustine by 20 plus. They're gonna go out there and they're gonna hand an ass whooping to them if they end up being that 2 seed. That's going to piss them off. And that is, like we said earlier, that's a team you don't want to piss off.
And there's some, and I will tell you this. And there's also going to be teams in this. There's going to be teams here in Tampa Bay that they're going to be pissed off about where their seating's going to be at because they feel like they've been given the short end of the rankings. But with that said, I know we've been talking. Might as well just go ahead and just do this since we're just having fun here with this. But let's go ahead and roll into our pick six here because that way we can kind of call it a night on this one here. But as we look at it here, some really good games in the Tampa Bay area, by the way, that we've got on the docket here. Lakeland Christian 7-2, Northside Christian 7-2. Both teams will be in the playoffs, but a good tune-up here for the playoffs for both teams as they get ready for their respective regional brackets here. Lakeland Christian, they've had some good wins here. Northside Christian, they've had their moments too, but boy, Lakeland Christian. If I look at it between both teams, Lakeland Christian has when some of the games that really mattered the most, the tough games, they've won those games, in my opinion. So where are you going to go with this one here? I'll tell you who Chris and Reno pick here in a moment here as I'm pulling them up here on the picks here. And I can tell you right now with this, Chris is going with Lakeland Christian and Reno is going with Northside.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lakeland Christian. I've been a big fan of their program. Going back to my John Paul days where we took those 2 trips down there, went 1-1 against those boys over 2 years. It's always just a solid program. So
yeah, I'm with you on that one. Lakeland Christian as well for me on that one. The next one I've got up on the docket here is Auburndale 7-2 at Winter Haven 6-3. Winter Haven needs to be able to have a big win here. Oh, lost coach there for a second. I don't know what happened there, but he'll pop back in hopefully here in a moment here. But get him back here on the thing. There we go. Coach, so we got Auburndale 7-2 at Winter Haven 6-3. Winter Haven needs this game. They need a big win. They need an upset in order to get themselves back into the bracket here, and that's the problem here. Is Auburndale has just been good, and their 2 losses, well, I mean, Jones is one of them, and Lakeland's the other, and that speaks for Auburndale, and that's the only thing. For Winter Haven, can't even take care of business against Ridge, and that hurts you really, really hard, and but I don't know. I don't know if Winter Haven can even pull out a win here at this particular. If they pull out a win, is it going to be enough for them? Is my question, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a short week, being a Thursday game. I think if you're Winter Haven, you needed that extra day to get ready for this game. I mean, it's it's too much. Good. Auburndale's defense is looking pretty solid on the back stretch, but that offense for Auburndale is definitely picking up. I don't see this game being that close. Auburndale pretty big. I think they pull out to a pretty quick lead at halftime and then just kind of coast it out the rest of the game. I think Winter Haven puts up a fight. I mean, like you said, like their backs are against the wall. Their only way in is if they win, and even with a win, still kind of tough sledding.
Yeah, but absolutely. Here, and
I think you're going to get Winter Haven's best shot. That's for sure. I don't think that it's a blowout at halftime, but I think Auburndale gets to a comfortable lead at halftime, and then they just make the adjustments, and then it just kind of pulls away from there. Maybe like a 40-13 type game. Maybe it's a 27-10 halftime kind of score.
No, absolutely. I'll tell you this. Looking at that, I'm going Adale as well. I love the chat is going Auburndale as well. And Noli says Winter Haven goes down hard against the Bloodhounds, record-setting quarterback. We got some guys that are building themselves up for all-state billing here this year. Nature Coast at Hernando, good tune-up for both teams. Hernando County rivalry right there. Both teams 7-2. Both are headed to playoffs as district champs. And boy, which one do I take? Coin flip here.
What was the game?
Nature Coast 7-2 at Hernando 7-2. Battle of Hernando County teams. And I can tell you right now, both Reno and Chris are going with Hernando, and I'm leaning towards Hernando, but I like Nature Coast in a lot of ways. So give me, man, this is hard. Give me Nature Coast on my pick. I'll go with Nature Coast. I'll go against the grain here.
I agree with you. I don't think it's against the grain at all. I think the ranking discrepancy is pretty. Nature Coast is Hernando's the home team. Hernando's has looked pretty good. Man, I just the ground game for Nature Coast, I think, is what really shows up. Like we said this a couple episodes earlier in the evening, this time of the year, teams that are running the ball strong, healthy across the offensive line, those are the teams that I feel like pull out these kind of games where you're looking to maybe keep the clock rolling, get out of it clean. Give me Nature Coast Tech. Close game.
Absolutely. All right, real quick, a quick pick on this one. Leonard and Chamberlain both are 7-2 here. Leonard had started off 7-0, but has dropped their last 2 games. But Chamberlain, both are going to be playoff teams here. But boy, which way do we go here? As I can tell you that Chris is going Leonard, and so is Reno.
Yeah, it's Leonard. I don't think it's a close one.
I think Leonard has played a tougher schedule than Chamberlain, and give me Leonard to finish with 8 wins on the season.
Oh yeah.
All right, next one, Osceola out of Kissimmee, 6-3 at Lakewood, 8-1. Woo, tough battle here. I can tell you this one here. On this one here is that Chris is going Lakewood, and so is Reno. And you know what? If this was at Osceola, I would take Osceola, but give me Lakewood. Lakewood has played some doggone good football, and their only loss, Cardinal Mooney.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm a big Cowboys fan. I love Osceola. I've always been a big fan of theirs. Good team this year. I mean, I think come playoff time, you know, I could see a couple of wins out of that, but in this matchup, I mean, Lakewood, you know, really aside from that Mooney game, and I mean, early on it seemed like they kind of came to show up in that game. It just got away from them. But then you look at everything else. I mean, it's just blowout after blowout after blowout. I don't see this being any different. I think that they're able to. I don't think you're looking at anything like a 58-7 kind of game or anything like that. But I think it's a good couple touchdown win. They're just that much better, I think, right now than Osceola is, and it's a home game, and they're riding some hot momentum going into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Lakewood. All right. Next up, Port Charlotte 8-1 at Zephyrhills 9-0. Boy, this is a dandy of a game. But I mean, if you're going to compare schedules, it's Port Charlotte's schedule versus Zephyrhills' schedule all day. It's Port Charlotte has played the tougher schedule at the end of the day here, and that's why I want to lean towards the Pirates. But wouldn't be surprised if Zephyrhills gets a big win here and then helps their strength of schedule out. But I'm Port Charlotte here on this one.
Oh, man.
Port Charlotte and Reno is Zephyrhills.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the home team, man. I'm gonna take Zephyr. Lot of big wins over the last 5 weeks for them. Just seems like they're riding really high. But both teams high scoring offenses. This has all the makings of a shootout. No disrespect to their defenses that are playing great. I just think both of the offenses are that much better than the opposing defenses. I don't see anything. I don't see anything stopping. I think it's whoever wins that turnover battle in this game.
You're right.
Kind of comes down to it. But.
Yep. All right. Well, that is it for the Tampa Bay edition of the Blitz. Appreciate everybody hanging with us tonight here as we rolled through this and hanging with all the glitches and everything that we've had here in terms of getting back the technology back up and running here so we could do our shows and come to you. We'll be back live tomorrow. We'll do more. I think we might go live around 2:00 tomorrow. Maybe like 1:45. We'll come alive and we'll do some stuff with that informational workshop at the FHA. Talk about that, and then we'll have our shows against with everything tomorrow for with everybody with the show with for the starting with Central Florida edition of the Blitz at 7:30. Chris will be back as well. And we'll start there, and we'll have Central Florida, we'll have Northeast Florida, we'll have North Central Florida, and we'll have Panhandle tomorrow night. Appreciate everybody, Coach. Appreciate you dropping on tonight here, and we'll see everybody here tomorrow night. Y'all have a good one here as we wrap this up here. Thank you for watching the Tampa Bay edition of the Blitz here on Florida HS Football.
Have a good night.